This is now coming towards the former inter-German border, the border between West Germany and East Germany. This road was one of the 3 transit roads which went to Berlin and was maintained by the West German government, or rather the West German government actually paid for it. It gave the East German government a rather large amount of cash every year to keep the road maintained, and certainly the road was in much better condition than other roads in East Germany. As you came close to the border, for people going to West Berlin, they'd have more or less a cursory check. The check wasn't very deep at all. It was unless, of course, you were going further. If you were going to, for example, Poland or somewhere in East Germany, then the control was much more severe. I was here in 1984-85 and on a transit road to Poland, and you'd expect to wait at least 3 hours. Now on the right at the moment is what was once the West German Customs. It's now a petrol station and service area. For those lorries which were leaving and going on further into wherever they may be going. You'd then enter a sort of tunnel in a way, sort of something similar to what we have here with the acoustic walls, until you got to the, once you'd actually crossed the border, until you got to the East German control point. Now visas were required for West Germans and others going to Berlin, but the visa fee was actually paid by the West German government for people travelling between the two parts of West Germany using the East German territory. The transit roads were a major source of income for the East German government. Transit roads came from a number of things. One was the first thing being the cost of visas, which was at 5 marks each. The second being the cost of the money raised from traffic fines. You'd have situations, for example, when traffic coming in from the right, you could not, now most of us will go over to one side and let the traffic pass. That it was not allowed in East Germany. Another thing was that they suddenly had changes in speed traps, but almost without warning. The speed limit would become 70 or even 50 on a motorway, and the police would stand behind it, and until you got used to where these places were, then there was really no chance of avoiding it. On the right now we see a former East German tower. Control at the border. The border was here. We can see the former motto. I've just gone over the border now. There is the stand which the East German sign used to stand, and this was the area which was actually controlled by a tunnel on each side until you got to the border control point, which according to the sign, which is I've just passed now on the right, is 500 meters from here. Part of the wall still stands on the right, because the wall as such was several walls, it wasn't just the one. I'm now going to take a turning to the right and go into the former control area. Museum was built here a few years ago. First time I actually came here looking for it was in 1992. There was nothing then except a rather large area of empty buildings not doing anything. I was lucky enough, I went looking for it, and met some people from Marienborn who then worked in Helmstedt. They just had to go over the border, so it was less than 3 years after the wall came down, and they took me and showed me. Now we're coming into the area which was the control area, which here one can see the floodlights, the towers, the enormous security system put up by the German Democratic Republic, which was neither German nor democratic, of course. That being the joke. And there's the control area. I was here 3 years ago, and the head of the museum, it's now a museum, and the head of the museum was very kind enough to take me up the control point there. So I'm now going to get out the car and have a look around. Of course, today it's very interesting to see what can be done with former socialist security mechanism, which is today become a very nice service station. Now, the motorway was actually, when it was built in the 1930s, it was roughly in the same position as it is today. But in the time of the DDR, the path was actually changed, and that one would come in through these entrance ways, which are here today, and an exit was somewhere in front of me now. Not quite where the motorway stands today, with a similar facility, which I believe may no longer exist. And you'd come in through here, and this would be the first point of control in East Germany. Today there's very little left of the road. In some parts the moles have even dug it up, which is rather surprising. There's a little bit there, but not really very much at all. I can only suppose that this was actually dug up or something. Here we have a part of the road still in existence. I want to say one thing though about the people who worked here, because I experienced not this border control point, but on the southern one near Hof, and the person I was with, her passport was actually no longer valid, and he spoke really nice English, and he seemed to be a very pleasant gentleman, and he went out of his way to make sure that she got a DDR invitation, which was valid instead of a passport. We went to Poland. The Poles didn't notice the passport wasn't valid, so it was very good for us. But the staff in general were not necessarily unpleasant. Again, at the same point before, there was a woman came out and she asked me if I had any books. Not interested in currency, not interested in anything, just books. At East Germany, although in East Berlin I was arrested once, but other than that, I remember a very pleasant lady asking me with the currency declaration. She was very nice, very complimentary about my German and things like this. So the staff really were as pleasant as you'd find today on any German border.